Okay, the recording is going. Although, why does it say that it's been recording for 16 minutes? That's the meeting duration. That's fine because we
Yeah.
opened the meeting. That's all good. Well, final audio check. Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you good.
Awesome. Mike?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, then let's begin. Episode 181. Yeah, not 180. Okay. Shit, I can't even remember how to do a proper intro. It's been too long because the last few times I've messed it up and we've just gone with it. Well, welcome. This is episode 181 of Let's Talk Assassin's Creed. Welcome back, everyone. As you can see from the episode name, we are going to do our amazing annual, because it's the second time we've done it, Christmas Game Awards. And I'm joined by my partner in crime, Chris.
Hey everyone.
Hi, mate. Welcome. And we've got special guest returning. Actually, it's been a year or two, Mike, but welcome back, Michael Smith, Lord Reylus.
Hello.
Good to have you back with us. Declan is he's busy this weekend, so it's just the three of us today, and we're going to copy what we did this time last year, and we have a number of categories, and we've each nominated a winner for each category, and we're going to talk about the games we've played in 2024, which ones we've enjoyed, which ones had something special, maybe which one we tried again and got into, and well, let's go with it. So the first category is yeah, this category worked last year because Mirage had just been released. This category is Best New Assassin's Creed Game. Yeah, I don't have anything to say there. Chris, save us.
Yeah, see, we could have been playing Shadows, but obviously it got
Yeah,
delayed. But
yeah,
I think we're all in agreement that it was for the best.
yes,
Yeah, definitely.
But only 2 months to go as of recording today. 2 months
that is true. It's
Yeah.
exactly.
the
Oh,
14th
that's
of
weird.
December. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mike, you had an entry for this prize.
Yeah, technically we did get permadeath mode, which is in a way kind of a new a play style for the game, and a lot of people played it when it came out. So I feel like that was a pretty good example of a quote unquote new game because everybody was doing it at the same time. So I don't know how many like I finished it, it wasn't that hard or that was the hardest thing I've ever done with the permadeath mode, getting that new dice dye color for Basim or not Basim. Yeah, Basim's outfit.
See, I've not actually done it yet. I think I'm the
I
only
haven't
person that's
either.
not.
Yeah, I
I've not
haven't
even
either.
tried it or anything, but because I was saving it. I wanted to stream doing the permadeath
Mm.
run, like the month before Shadows comes out, but obviously it got put back. So I was like, right, I'll stream it in January, and then so I'll
Yeah, I'll
do that.
probably take a swing at it whenever I get back to it in my next playthrough, but I've got so much other stuff to go through first, so
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. My thoughts on it. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed that approach. But learn from my mistake. You can do a new game plus permadeath, so you can keep all of your
mm.
skills, gear, whatever. Whereas me, I didn't read the note, the documentation. I just deleted all my save games and started again, which made it harder for myself. But yeah, good call on permadeath mode. That was a nice way of kind of approaching Mirage in a different way. Well, yeah, we don't have to. Before we move on, very quickly, have you guys seen all the new little combat video snippets for Shadows that were released last week?
I've watched some of them.
Any thoughts?
I've been kind of avoiding most of them because I kind of do want to be surprised by
Mm,
the game when it comes out, but also I am more of somebody where if you give me an 8-minute video talking about the combat system, I'll watch it. But if you're going to give me 20-second videos, I don't really want to sit there and watch clips.
mm, yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that.
I'm like you, Michael. I'm kind of want to still be surprised by some things as well. So I've been kind of staying away from most of it. I've seen a couple of things and commented on a few things, but yeah, just want to see some of it for myself. So I've seen everything I need to know about the game. I know I'm going to get it. I know I'm most likely going to
Mm.
like it. So yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I won't say anything about the details, but whether it was the way the videos were recorded and rendered, or whether it's work continuing to be done on animations and general like the visual presentation of the game, it looks a lot. Everything looked really smooth,
Yeah.
really nice compared to the early sort of clips we saw 4 or 5 months ago. And I guess that's obvious, but also they could have spent the time working on other things. But it seems they're doing continuing to refine lots of areas of the game. So I liked what I saw. It looked very, very polished. All right, so no new Assassin's Creed games this year, but permadeath mode for Mirage was a good addition. Okay, our second category, gentlemen. Best Assassin's Creed game we played again.
Hmm.
Chris.
That is a tough
Now, by the
question.
way, Chris, you replay AC1 10 times every year. I'm not sure if that counts.
Yeah, no, I've not actually played that much this year, surprisingly. But I have been just battering away at the rest of them. Although, side note, I went to play my latest save of Assassin's Creed 2 the other day, and my file was completely gone, and I have no idea why. And I was like pretty much three-quarters of the way through it, 100% in it. And I'm like, what
No,
happened to it? See when you go into the menu at the start and you've got three save files,
Mm.
it was completely gone from there. And I'm like, how did that even happen? You usually need to physically go in and delete that manually. So I don't know
Maybe it
what's
was a
going
sync
on.
issue.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm pretty gutted about that. But no,
shame.
as for the question, best one I've played again. I don't know. I'm really digging Unity again for some reason, even though it's on Xbox and PlayStation. I know there's like unobtainable achievements and stuff like that now because the servers are kind of messed up. But I've been
Right.
playing a good decent bit of that this year, and I don't know. I missed that game. I think it was really good.
Mm, nice. That's good. So Unity gets your nod for this year then.
Yeah.
Also, what about you, Mike?
AC3 for me. Um, I played AC3 a few months ago. Um, Let me see, where was I? Assassin's Creed 3 was back in September. I played it again on a new, like, 51 and a half hour playthrough. And I had just read Forsaken for the first time. And it was almost like playing it again. It was almost like playing it brand new. And I was just like, there's just so much stuff that AC3 did for the series as far as mechanics go. And it's such a solid game, and it definitely moved it up there into like my top lists of my favorite games for the series. So yeah, AC3 was great. And I played the remaster on the Xbox, which was the first time that I played the remaster on the Xbox, because the previous time that I had played it, probably about 2 or 3 years ago, was on the Switch on its remaster. And
Mm.
outside of some HDR lighting issues, which I was able to fix, um, it was so much fun.
Yeah, that's music to
Music to
my
your ears,
ears.
Chris. Yeah, there
Exactly.
we go. It's the one, do you know, it's the one I know the least about. I've played it once. I need to go back and replay it and really get into
Yep.
AC3
Yeah, yeah. You said
for sure.
last week that you hadn't done the homestead missions. Those are some of the
I
best missions.
I know, for shame. And I haven't done what's the DLC called?
Uh,
King
yeah,
Washington
Oh yeah,
something.
that was
I've never
really
touched that.
good
yeah.
Okay. No, that's not true. It's not that I haven't touched it. It's the very first mission where you've
Yeah,
got to use the
with the
cannon to
cannons.
stop
Yeah,
the guards. I failed so many times and I thought this is not worth it and I gave up. I'm
I
afraid.
was the
I
same
need to get
way.
back into it.
But once I finally got past it, I was just like, okay, this is a really good DLC.
Mm, All right. Goal for next year, AC3 replay for sure. My I got two nominations for this category. The first one is Mirage Permadeath Run, which was really good fun to go back and play that game and approach it differently. But in the summer, I was feeling a bit bored and I decided to replay Odyssey. I mean, not much of a surprise, my feelings on that game. But instead of just doing another new game plus and being, level 99 with all the best gear, I did a brand new game and had to kind of actually think and pick the right skills and approach combat a little more carefully and not just charge in and one shot everyone. And it was just fantastic to go back. And I just did main story. I didn't bother with a lot of the side stuff, but I got from, the start on Kefalonia to the end of reuniting the family, and it was fantastic. It's just such a fun game to get back into and to explore. So I would nominate Odyssey for this year. Chris, you're saying Unity,
Yep.
and Mike AC3. Awesome, awesome, very good. Okay, this is an interesting category because it's been a fairly quiet year in terms of new content, but we're pretty generous with our categories. Well, Mike's already shaking his head, so Mike, we'll come to you in a sec. This category is Best Assassin's Creed Transmedia, and I added a little note saying, look, it can be anything we've read this year. It doesn't have to have been published this year. So, Mike, get us started. It feels like a quiet year for transmedia, but I've
Oh
not been paying
no,
attention.
not
So,
at all.
yeah,
It's been a very it's been a very balanced year. Now, whether or not you decide to count podcasts as transmedia, because they're not technically adding anything to the story of the games, but they do give backstory. The Echoes of History podcast that Ubisoft does with History Hit,
yeah,
which is a
it's really good.
major history related podcast and just educational group. Their Echoes of History series, which comes on every Sunday night. I listen to it on Mondays, is really good. And right now they were doing like small, like 3 episode stints for each of the games. And I think that we're in, what are we in right now? Um, Honestly, I can't remember which one we're in right now.
I'll tell you one I've not listened to yet. It's in my list of episodes to listen to is The Great Wall of China.
That's
I
what it
know
is.
I've
We're
got
in
that one
we're
to
in
listen
Chronicles
to.
China right now,
Yeah.
because Monday's episode is going to be about the eight tigers, um, which are the eunuchs, the guys who were the head of the Templar Order in AC China. So it's going to be about them because they were actual people. But then we also have the Forgotten Temple, Assassin's Creed Black Flag sequel story that's on Webtoons, and that comes out every Monday night. And that's been great. It's had some really good artwork. They're finally starting to blend it into the story that we know of Edward, because there was arguments when it first came out, like it takes place months before Hatham is supposed to be born. And it's like he's in Macau right now. How is he supposed to get home in time for Hatham to be born? Um, and in one of the latest episodes, that actually it may be this week's episode because I get to read like too early each week, just by watching ads and stuff. They just brought Edward's wife in for the first time.
Okay.
But
Okay.
outside of that, though, we did have Visionaries come out, even though it's non-canon. It is still transmedia for Assassin's Creed. Um, and did we have books come out this year? I can't remember. I can't remember when Daughter of No One came out, but um,
That was which
it
we
may have been
interviewed
last
Maria
year.
Lewis.
Yeah, I think it was last
I'm
Yeah, I
year.
gonna,
feel like that
yeah, I
was
think it
last year
was.
we interviewed
Yeah.
her.
We published that episode a year ago, so it would have been around the release of Mirage that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
book came out.
But yeah, so I mean, there's definitely been plenty. So
Okay.
that's at least current. Next year we'll probably get a lot more because we'll have Shadows coming out. And they
Yeah.
haven't announced anything as far as like tie-in novels or anything, but I do know that there is a Discovery Tour book that is supposed to be released, which means that we're probably getting Discovery Tour again in some way. Or maybe they'll do it like they did with Mirage. But myself, the one that I had voted for the best transmedia for me was The Hope of Chang'an, by Sui Shi, which is the Assassin's Creed Jade Emblem or Jade Seal. I can't remember. It's the first one in the Chinese exclusive Assassin's Creed stories. which I
Okay.
did learn is non-canon. It was just a way for them to market the games in China, and use Chinese authors and stuff. But it was such a good book. It took me a while to read because I had to translate it, but
I was going to
um,
ask you if it's Chinese exclusive. Is it
it is
only
Chinese
printed
exclusive.
in
Yeah,
Mandarin?
I
Okay.
had to I had to scan it in on my phone and just copy and paste it into my computer, and then um, I would fix a few things, mainly just spacing and stuff, so that I could read it a little bit easier. But it's such a good story, and it has one of the coolest new assassins
What
with
I'll do for the video version is I'll get a
this
screenshot or
one,
something. Oh, cool. Yeah.
and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's like 15 or 16 years old, and her father used to work for the emperor, or no, her family used to be the emperor family
Mm.
of Chang'an, which is the capital city in China at the time. Um, and she had been kind of outcasted when her family was killed um, by the current emperor and his wife, who his wife is the big bad in the story. Um, and it's just such a well book. It's got everything. It's got the assassins in it. It's got Templars. It has actual historical figures, actual historical events, and it even has some Isu stuff at the end, even though they don't call them Isu directly. But they talk about them as their gods. Um, but one of my favorite parts in the book was a fight scene where she is disguised as a hermit playing. I don't remember the name of the stringed instrument, but it's like a Chinese guitar, and she's playing it in time with her partner who's in the back behind screen doors attacking people, and she's hitting the guitar every time he's hitting somebody, so you can't hear him killing like 30 people behind the screen.
Nice.
That's so
So
Nice.
cool.
but
That's
it's
great.
it's it's a really good book, and
Okay.
I'm excited for the next one, which is going to come out hopefully sometime in the next year. But the issue is getting it into the States is difficult because it is a Chinese exclusive. So I had to really wait for an importer to find this, and I finally got it last year off of Amazon, and then got to read it this year, and I was just like, that's great. But that's what I voted for.
Nice. So that's Assassin's Creed: The Hope of Chang'an by Sui Shi.
Yeah,
Okay.
it
Very
used to
good.
be called Prophecy of the Emperor until they changed the name.
Okay. Understood. Chris, what's your transmedia nomination for the year?
Well, you know me, I don't actually dabble in much of the transmedia.
Dabble.
I want to get more into it, man. It's just finding the time, really.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the only thing I really do is read some of the books, and even then, I've just never find the time to read them either. Like, I'm a really
Mm.
slow reader as well, so it takes me ages to get through a book. But the only books I've actually read this year was The Magus Conspiracy and The Highlands Children. So, and I'd obviously give it to The Magus Conspiracy for that because that's just a brilliant book. Absolutely love it. The Highlands Child, I know a lot of people don't really like that. I see a lot of people online kind of complaining about that one, but I thought it was alright. I think I've just got a soft spot for it because it's about Scottish kids. So I was like, yeah, I like that.
It was a good story. I read it
Yeah,
this year as
Yeah.
well.
yeah, it's
I
alright.
found it hard to get into, but once it got going, it was
Yeah,
a good action
yeah,
adventure in Scotland, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
alright.
I've nominated two here, and I'm not sure. I think I'll flip a coin in a minute. So one of my honourable mentions is Blade of Azu, which is another book in the Fragment series. So Highland's Children, Blade of Azu, and then there's a third one that's not out yet, or is it published in French but not in
It's
English
published
yet? I
in
think.
French, but it's been delayed
Yeah,
multiple times. I think we're supposed to get it next year, but it's not going to be until like late next year, which who knows
okay.
why.
Strange, isn't it? So I thought Blade of Azu was a really good story. I did a short review on the channel there. Really, there's no modern day, there's no anima stuff. It's just a straight Assassins versus Templars action adventure, brilliant. But I think I've got to give the nod to the Last Descendants trilogy, which I know has been published many years ago, but I only fully read it this year. I read the first book a few years ago, forgot about it, and I thought I need to finish this. So I reread the first book and then the second and the third book. And as a just for the, I mean, it's got everything. It's got the assassins, Abstergo. It's got historical stuff. It's got an amazing exploration of the animus and genetic memories and this whole kind of what's the shared history of mankind thing going on. I thought they were fantastic books. So yeah, Last Descendants gets my award for transmedia this year.
Have you read Lotus yet?
That's the related comic, isn't
Yeah,
it? I think I've got it as a PDF when I got a humble bundle of transmedia last year or the year before.
I think it was.
I
Yeah, it
don't.
was one of the last 2 years.
Okay, I have not read it, and I know I should because it crosses over, doesn't it?
Yeah,
With one of the historical characters, I think.
yeah. Well, it
Um,
has the modern day from the Last Descendants. So you get everybody that was at the I can't remember the name of the hideout, but you get all the
okay.
kids, um, and then it crosses over with Syndicate, and I think it follows Henry. I can't
Yes,
remember
that's
exactly.
right. I think he's on the cover, isn't he?
Yeah.
Henry in his distinctive robes. Yeah. Okay. I've got to find that and finish it to get the full story. All right. Let's move on to our next category. This is a tricky category, and we may have some nominations, we may not. The best game that we tried again, and you can interpret this quite generously. Last year, we interpreted it as games that we tried again after not enjoying them the first time and grew to like and respect them. But we can be quite generous here. Chris, do you want to go first? Did you have a nomination for this category?
I'm still on mute there. See, it's hard for me because this year I've been trying to only play newer games that I've not played yet. So I'm looking over my list now of games that I have played this year. And I would say probably, Starfield. Because
Oh
I
yeah,
played that when it came out and I was like, even though I love Bethesda games, I love Skyrim and all that, and it just didn't really click with me. But I reinstalled it about a month ago and I've been playing it non-stop because of the new updates and stuff. And I've
Right.
actually been having so much fun with it. I think it's a great game. So
nice.
I don't care what the naysayers say. I think it's a decent game. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one that I would love to replay. Because I've only gotten, I don't know, I probably got like a good couple of 10 hours into it, but it just felt like, I don't know, it almost felt like there was too much to do, but also not anything to do at the same
yeah.
time. So it's definitely one that I want to give another chance.
Yeah, see, because I'm really eager to get to the end of the game because I don't know what happens. Like, I've not ever seen any spoilers about it or anything, so I'm eager to see what actually happens reaching the end. And I really want to play the DLC that's out for it because that looks pretty good. So, yeah, I'm
Nice.
just
So
watching that.
Starfield is your nod.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right. Mike, what's your nomination?
So for me, it was Fallout Shelter. Um, I had played Fallout Shelter on mobile back around when it came out. And it was before they started doing the quest, so you only had the ability of building your vault and managing your people and stuff. So they didn't have any of the like story aspects to it yet. And I had played it. I think I had reached like 200 vault dwellers. I had unlocked all the rooms and quote unquote finished the game. But this last year, I was needing to play a game daily so that I could get Microsoft reward points for playing games on my computer. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just do Fallout Shelter again because it has an achievement list and I could just work on that slowly. And I finished the missions. I finished all of the missions that are available to it, with the exception of the daily and weekly and like special like holiday missions that refresh like every so often. But all of the other story related missions I'd finished, and I've got all of the achievements except for the 20 unique vault dwellers, which you can only get from lunch boxes. Um, and I just have to play to get lunchboxes, but you get a lunchbox like once a week without paying actual money, which I don't want to pay
Okay.
money for a game I've already finished. But it was a
Yeah.
game that I had kind of like I had tried to play it again when the quest had come out, and I was like, you know what, I don't really have that much interest in this. I'd rather play actual Fallout. Um, but giving it a
Yeah.
daily play, and I've been pretty big in the mobile games lately, so playing it on the computer was fun, and I'm only playing for maybe like 15 minutes a day, so um, or whatever like the length of a mission is, and so it was fun, and I definitely enjoyed it, and I still have that achievement to get, but I'm just like I don't know if I'll actually go after it because it's literally now just let me log in and then log out and log in for a week, and I'll get a lunchbox at the end of the week. But
Okay.
outside of that,
And
there's
then
no way
repeat
for
that
me.
for a number of weeks
Yeah,
and you're
so
done.
unless I
Okay.
change the time on my PC, there's no way of me like speeding that up without spending actual money.
Got it. Got it. Okay, very good. So Fallout Shelter is Mike's nomination. I didn't really have one because I have actually replayed a number of games this year, but they're all games I really enjoyed. So there isn't one that fits the original definition of the question. One thing I will call out is I did replay Uncharted 4 a few months ago, and I just was fancy because it's a good story. It's good gameplay. It's enjoyable, but I fancied a bit of a challenge. I guess maybe inspired by the Mirage permadeath run. So I played it on crushing difficulty, which I think is the hardest difficulty. And that was actually really, really enjoyable. I died a lot. I wasn't doing like a permadeath run, but I died a lot. And there was one section, which is where you're trying to find Sam towards the end, and you're on the island going through the areas of jungle, and I died probably 50 times there. And I've watched people play it on YouTube and they just zip through it. So I don't know what I was doing wrong. But anyway, it was really good to replay. And I felt a nice little sense of pride completing it on that difficulty. Okay, we are flying through these. All right, let's have a look what we've got next. Okay, best old game that we played, and we can interpret. I can't remember what we said last year, how we interpreted it,
I can
but
never either.
Chris,
Just like kind of a game before a certain time period, I think maybe.
yeah, and I can't remember what we said, but I've said maybe 8 years old just as a
Or
guess, but
8 years. Oh, okay.
it doesn't really matter. I
Yeah, I don't
mean,
even
hey,
think I've played
interpret it
it
how
in
you
that
like.
old. Apart from Assassin's Creed games, I don't think I've played it in that old this year.
Hey, you could
Yeah.
nominate
Although,
anything you like.
well, you know what? I've been sitting playing through the Grand Theft Auto remake trilogy,
Hmm.
GTA 3 and Vice City, just
I mean,
because
I would say that counts.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would say because they technically are really old games.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, I've been enjoying them again because I mean that's what I grew up on playing those GTA
Mm.
games, and I'm looking forward to the new ones. So yeah, I like them. But also another shout out to Mafia because I only just 100%ed that this year. The remake of that game, and that is a
Mm.
really good game. Really good story as well if you're into the type of like mafia gangster movies and stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. So yeah, all the gangster games for me.
Basically, crime.
Yeah, crime.
Got it. Awesome. What about you, Mike? What's your nomination for best old game?
I don't know the exact age of the game, but for me, it was Arkham Knight. It was the first time I had ever played it, and it was the third. Did I play Batman first? Yeah, I played Batman first. I was
Mm.
playing series that I owned in my games for my completion goals this year, and so I started with all of the new Batman games, and I played everything except for the PSP exclusive one. Oh, it's not exclusive anymore, but the PSP one and the or PS Vita one and the one Arkham Origins, because unless you have a physical copy, you can't play it anymore because it's not available digitally.
Okay.
But I played Arkham Knight for the first time, and I was like, that was such a good game. There's so much
Mm.
to it. The atmosphere is amazing. Even the like, I remember a lot of people being annoyed with the Batmobile. But I was just like, this thing is a beast, and it's so much fun to just drive around, just knocking out enemies with it. And just all around a solid game, especially because I had just finished Arkham Asylum again for
Mm.
the how many-th time, probably the third time, and then Arkham City in full for the first time because I don't think I had ever beat it prior to this year, but I had played it multiple times. And then playing Arkham Knight, and I'm like, that's a good game.
Very good. Do you know, I've got that trilogy and I've played Arkham Asylum for a number of hours and then it bugged out and I lost my save game and I'm afraid I got annoyed and never went back to it. I need to replay them. I've never played them and I need to. I've seen screenshots and the atmosphere of that city they created is amazing. Go on, Chris.
No, I was just saying I've never played them either, and I really should, and I know I would love them.
Mm,
So
mm,
I probably will jump on that next year at some point. Another question,
Yeah.
but how, from an achievement hunting point of view, how hard would you say like the first one is to 100%?
Oh, it's not hard at all. The only thing with it is that I know there is some difficulties achievement, so you have to beat it
Yeah,
once to unlock the harder difficulties.
right.
But a good chunk of the achievements that may give you more problems, and it's not really problems as in like they're buggy. It's just the challenge rooms. You
Yeah,
have a whole list of challenge rooms that you have to beat on certain difficulties with certain characters, and the combo ones. Like there's one for like getting a 5 times combo, a 10 times combo, a 20 times combo, all the way up to like a ridiculous amount combo, which if you just play, you'll unlock most of them. I think for you, it'd be a perfectly fine thing for you to 100% achieve. I was just focused on the story. So I would do the story, all of the story content, including DLCs that may have been added into it. And then I would move on because I'm like, I can do challenge rooms later. I don't really want to do them right now. I've never really been a huge fan of the extra like battle modes or whatever you want to call them, but because I play games for the story and all of its story content. Um, but no, I don't think it'd be too much of a problem for you.
yeah, sounds good.
all right. My nomination for best old game that I played this year is Near Automata, which is it's just kind of hard to describe. I've never played anything like it. I bought it very cheaply in a Steam sale. It's the latest in a long running series of games. And before that, there is near. Oh my God, what's the game before it called in the series? It's the Drakengard universe, which they've been
Replicant
making
or
games
something?
for. Thank you, Near Replicant. I watched a 30-minute YouTube video after I'd completed Near Automata on the world building and the lore. It is baffling and it is odd, but the game is incredible. The gameplay is amazing. The story is amazing. You replay the story from multiple perspectives, and it builds on each time. I'd never played anything like it, and it will stand out as a completely unique experience for me. Yeah, real
Yeah,
something very
mind
very
bending,
special.
I've heard it's been called.
It's yeah, and it's how it sounds really obvious, but it's how it blends the game you're playing with the visuals and the visual overlays as things start to fall apart. And I just, God, I wish I was clever and I could actually explain it. It's incredible, and I would say to anyone, give it a try. It's odd initially, and I felt like I'd never, yeah, like I said, never played anything like it, and it took me a while to get into the groove. And once I was in the groove, it's so fun. The combat, it's exactly the sort of combat I like. Very very fast, very slick, and it alternates between sort of melee, ranged, bullet hell, corridors, and all the rest of it. And it transitions seamlessly from third person to top down. Unique. Recommend it to anyone. So yeah, Near Automata gets my nod for that one. Okay, this category is just a little bit of a side. So, best game we got someone else to play. Mike, do you want to get us started?
Yeah, for me, it was Vampire Survivors. It is a game that when it first came out, I think I played it on Game Pass, and I played it with my well, I played it on Game Pass, and I would take turns playing it with my wife, and she loved it. And anything that we can play together is always a good thing. And then they've released. I ended up buying it because it was only like $5.
Yeah, it's very
Um,
cheap, isn't it?
and but it's so good. There's so much content to it. And then they released new DLCs and stuff. And then in August, I think it was, they released co-op. So you can now play with up to four people total um, on the game. And it was and so I played with her, and it's just one of the best games for us to play. And they recently released the Castlevania crossover content pack with it, and it's massive. You've got the huge like Dracula's castle and at least like 18 different characters from across Castlevania's universe and
Wow.
weapons for each of them and enemies from the game. And it's just such a massive game, and we play it like almost on a weekly basis because we're still working through all of the content. We haven't even finished it yet.
Mm. Mm. It's a good shout. I've got it on, I play it on the Steam Deck because it's just a nice game to casually play for 10, 15, 20 minutes. I haven't even finished upgrading the first character and completing the three zones, so I'm not very good, but it's brilliant fun. Have you played it, Chris?
No, I have not.
Okay. Okay. All right. So Vampire Survivors is Mike's winner for this category. What about you, Chris? Have you got a nomination?
Well, see, I'm not really sure that I've managed to get anyone to play anything, so, so I'm not sure. I think I might have convinced a few people to play Star Wars Outlaws, maybe. So
Ah, nice.
that could be my nomination. Because yeah, I really couldn't think of anything for this. No idea.
Sure. All right. All right. My nomination is a game that released only maybe a month or two ago called Tiny Glade. And it's a building game. I bought it for my daughter as just as a gift again because it's very, very cheap, but I wanted to get her a little addition for her Steam library. So it's a construction game, but it has there's no content other than you build things because you want to build them. There's no competition, there's no levels, there's no danger. But it's got this amazing visual style. If you just go and look it up on YouTube and watch some build videos, it's got this medieval kind of setting. So you build little villages and cottages and castles. And basically, the goal is to make the cutest construction you can. And it has this incredible camera that creates this lovely depth of field. So it creates like, have you ever seen those photos that have got that tilt shift effect? But so yeah, the camera in the game is amazing, and it creates this tilt shift effect when you want it to. So you can build this castle or village or little village square with all the bunting, and then it'll give you this amazing tilt shift, like you're looking at a tiny little micro world. So absolutely adorable, very chilled. It's just nice to have a game that's completely open ended and has no sense of danger. So yeah, Tiny Glade would be my nomination, and definitely recommend it to anyone that just wants something completely relaxing to play. All right. Next category is best acting performance or best performance moment. And it can be from any game you played this year, new or old. I'll go first this time just to mix things up. And I've got two possibles here, and I really can't decide who I would choose. So the first one is Umberly Gonzalez, who portrayed Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws. I think she did a very, very good job. Um, Outlaws is a decent game. It's got a lot of hatred, and it's not valid hatred at all. It's not the most amazing game I've ever played, but it's a good game. There's a lot there. It's very immersive into the Star Wars universe. It's fun to play, but I thought her performance as Kay was great. Great range, great emotion. She was a real highlight of the game. And the other nomination I would make, which I guess is no surprise, is Jeremy Lee, who voiced Female V in Cyberpunk. Again, a fantastic performance. I can't decide, so I'm gonna cheat and give a joint nomination to Umberly Gonzalez and Jeremy Lee. What about you, Chris? Who's your nomination?
Well, like you, I was also going to say KVS or Humbly because, as like I said, I'm on my second playthrough of that game now, and I think it's a brilliant game, and her performance was brilliant, especially with Nyx and like the moments, if I can say spoilers, when he gets taken away. Yeah, all that very
That mission, man,
amazingly
I was
acted and
so
stuff.
angry when that happened.
I know you could feel it, man. You could feel the pain.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that, and also another shout to I've not finished it yet, but I'm slowly working through Indiana Jones right now, and I think that's probably maybe my game of the year so far, even though I've not completed it yet. Um, the story in that's brilliant, and the acting, I still can't believe that that's Troy Baker doing his voice. Like they sound exactly the same. It's
It's amazing,
insane.
isn't it? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, big shout out to that one.
Very good. Could you choose between Cave S or Indiana Jones?
Well, at this point, I would say KVS because, like I said, I've
Okay.
completed that game. I've seen the full performance, and I thought it was outstanding.
Mm,
Whereas I'm really
mm.
digging Indiana Jones right now, but I've not seen enough of it yet. So,
Understood. All right. Very good. Thanks, Chris. And Mike, what do you reckon?
For me, it was the cast of Harold Halibut, which is also I'll talk about more later on in the podcast.
Mm,
But the specifically Buddy the Mailman, um, who is an older gentleman. It's a full English cast, English as in UK English, and or British cast. Well, I don't know about British specifically, but it's a full English cast. But his character was just such a cool character, and without spoiling anything, the ending of his story was very heartfelt, and it was just like oh, such a good character that definitely sticks with you.
that's great. That's a game I've not heard of. I'm just quickly looking it up now.
Yeah,
Harold
it's a
Halibut.
great game, and I'll give more detail later on. But it's a
Yeah.
fully stop motion game, claymation.
Oh,
So if you're a
cool.
big fan of Wallace and Gromit, or any of the aardvark, or whatever it is, animations and
Oh, I know.
stuff.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Aardman
yeah,
Animations.
Aardman, there you go. Um, if you're a fan of those, I mean, it's such a great game, and I'll talk about it a little bit later on. But
Mm, All right, very good. So the cast of Harold Halibut. Okay. Next category is favorite character design. Chris,
oh, catching me off guard there. Favorite character design? Hmm.
I've got one ready if you need a
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, take it away.
All right. I am going to go for a character from Cyberpunk from the Phantom Liberty story, Phantom Liberty expansion, and that is the character of Songbird or Song So Mi. Why does her character stand out? Well, it's how it's presented in, let's say, two different ways. And when you finally get to meet her and she turns around and you see, well, the machine that she is, it's both shocking and it tells the story of what she's been through. And it's definitely it definitely makes you reevaluate things because when you meet her for the first time and you see her in well, you see her virtually first, and then you see her in person from the front. She's very attractive, and then she turns around and most of her body is cybernetics, and it punches you in the stomach. You know what's happened to her. So I would call out Songbird from Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. We'll give Chris another minute and maybe jump over to Mike. What would you call out here?
from the games that I played, my first thought was Laura Croft in the newest Tomb Raider series,
Mm,
because I played all three of those this year, um, and just seeing her character evolve over the course of three games is definitely like it definitely gave me more of a appreciation for the character itself, and the design, of course, always gets a little nicer in each game. And I know going forward, they're blending that version of Laura with classic Laura and making a more kind of blended version. Pretty much they're taking the new character's body and putting the old character's clothes on it. And then
okay.
just kind
Yeah.
of giving her a little bit more muscle so she looks kind of like the old Laura Croft did, which a lot of people don't really necessarily care for. Um, but outside of that, I was also going to mention last year there was a game called Bramble the Mountain King that came out, and I played that this year. and it was an incredibly just kind of dark fairy tale type game, and I can't remember the name of the character, but there is this flying or floating like witch lady that's on the cover art of the game, or you at least see her silhouette, but when you see her
Yeah.
actually, it's such a crazy design, because it's like it's very feminine, but also just incredibly just kind of almost horrific, especially when you see her back, because that's where her hit marker is. But um, the designs in that entire game were just like, oh my God, this is really cool looking, but gross at the same time.
That's a good shout. I remember
Yeah.
playing that last year, and yeah, that's one definitely to play. Beautiful animation style and visuals. Chris, are you
Yeah,
ready?
yeah, yeah. So another game that I have started working through this year, but haven't got the chance to finish it yet. But I'm going to call out Senua Hellblade 2 because the transformation of Senua from the first game to the second game is night and day. And she actually just won. Was it best performance or
Yeah,
something?
I think it was best female performance.
You
Yeah.
did. That's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, good on her, man, because it's from the little bit that I have played of it so far, it's amazing looking. It's acted amazingly. So, yeah, I'm really,
Are you
and
playing with headphones?
yeah, yeah, you have to. You
Yeah, yeah,
can't
you
play
have to.
any Hellblade game without headphones.
Yeah,
I like how they kind of drill that in when you start up the game. It's like,
yeah.
play this with
Put your
headphones.
headphones on.
Yeah,
You can't play this game without headphones.
Oh,
yeah,
do they? I've played
yeah.
the first one. I don't. Maybe they had the same prompt on
Yeah,
screen for the
it
first one,
is
but
Yeah,
actually there.
okay.
It's easy to miss,
yeah.
Right.
but yeah, no,
Okay. Very
definitely
good.
Hellblade 2. That's a great game.
Mm, awesome. All right. So we got Songbird, Senua, and Lara Croft as our nominations for character design. Okay. Here we go. Biggest disappointment. Um, who wants to go first?
I'll take it
Go for it, Mike.
because mine pissed me off. So
Okay, here we go.
it's a big disappointment for me. So I played Nonogram Prophecy for the first time this year, which was a game I got for free from No Gravity Games during one of their multiple different holiday sales, because they have a thing, and they're doing one right now, which actually I need to download today's game. Um, they have a thing where if you own at least one of their games, you can download additional games for free every day during a current event.
Okay.
And then for all of the future ones, if as long as you have one game, you can get their entire library for free by buying one game. And you don't even have to buy that game, because they used to have it to where you would get a game for free just for signing up for their newsletter. And they make a lot of various games, and you can call them shovelware because a lot of them are shovelware. But a lot of them I just look at as just an incredibly indie company, and they just produce a lot of stuff. If you have a game, we'll publish it for you, pretty much kind of thing. We don't care what it is, just give it to us and we'll throw it out. But Nonogram Prophecy is a nonogram game, or one of those picture puzzle games where you have like the numbers on the columns and the rows, and they correlate with where a pixel is on the grid. And so
Okay.
you'll make like a sword, or like a pot, or like a cat or a dog or something like that, by just following the numbers and stuff. And I started playing it this year, because I was doing another one on my phone, I think. And I got through the first two sections of the game, which are the small and the big um, uh, size puzzles, and they're simple, they're very easy. I can knock out the entire game in like maybe 2 hours. It's not huge, and I've been doing these things for so long, they're pretty easy. Well, when I got to the color puzzles, I noticed that all of them are just the same puzzles from the previous two sections, but in color, which I'm like, okay, that's perfectly fine. But then the biggest issue was that you would get to a puzzle that's like a strawberry, and it has two colors. It has red and it has green, but they have 30 different options of green that are the exact same hue. So you never know which one is supposed to go where. And so there was at least probably five puzzles I could not finish on the game, because they had set like five different hues of the same color, and you're literally just
Mm.
clicking a bar that's like this big that looks like it's just one color, and you've got two colors total, but there's like five different sections, and it's like, oh, okay. And if you've got a picture that's only two colors, but you have five instances of one color, you're never going to finish it unless you sit there and guess and click every single box. And if you mess up, you're never going to get it. So I was extremely upset by that, and I was like, this is the first time that I've played one of their games that I'm like, this is trash.
The absolute actual trash. Got it. Got it. All right. All right. I mean, it sounds like it's sort of unsolvable unless you're willing just to do trial and error for hours with that kind of design. So, okay, Nonogram Prophecy is Mike's biggest disappointment. Chris, over to you.
Well, I'll be sure to stay clear of that one. That sounds horrendous. My answer's a kind of non-answer, to be honest.
Okay.
One, I've not really played any games this year that I've been completely disappointed with. And second, I don't really want to completely write off this game yet because I've not played a great amount of it, and I do want to play more. But I'm going to go with Far Cry 6. And I love Far Cry games, and I don't know what it is, but I've spent a few hours with it, and I mean, I love the story so far. I love the characters. I think Danny, the main protagonist, she's a complete badass. I love her. Um, but it's just the way the game feels. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it. It almost feels like cheap or something. I
Okay.
really don't know how to describe it. It's strange. And I kind of got the same feeling when I played Far Cry 5 as well. Compared to like Far Cry 4 and 3, I feel like they're both kind of lacking something. And 5 done my nut in because it was like every 2 seconds, no matter what, the bad guys are turning up to have a fight with you. And it was like I couldn't walk like 4 steps without like an army showing up wanting a fight. And I was like, this is taking the piss. Come on. Like, I get you want random events and stuff happening, but this is far too much. And I was almost getting a wee bit of that from Far Cry 6 as well. Like, things just kept happening too regularly. And it was like, give me a minute to actually breathe. And because of that, I found myself just going from one objective to the next, not really taking my time, not reading anything. And I was like, this is not how I usually play something, and I don't know what is wrong here. So I think I need to just restart, take it slow, and just really try and soak it in because yeah, there's something not right. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay, fair enough. I remember playing Far Cry 6. There was a free weekend last year, maybe the
Mm,
year before, and I played about 6 hours over the course of the weekend. And by then, I'd already kind of had enough.
mm,
Um, I kind of felt like I'd already seen everything I was going to see in terms of stealth and guns and whatever.
yeah.
The tank was fun. I got into a tank and started driving a tank around. That was quite fun. But yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. All right, so Far Cry 6 so far, but you're going to sort of withhold
Yeah, because I
final
do want
judgment.
to like
All
kind
right.
of play more of it. So
Yeah, yeah, okay. I've got two possible ones here: Jedi Survivor and God of War Ragnarok, which are both big AAA kind of headline games. Neither of which I think they both released last year, didn't they?
mhm.
I'm late playing them. I really enjoyed Jedi Fallen Order, but Jedi Survivor for me just it's too long and there's just too much stuff in there to the point where there's a whole chapter in the game where you go to a planet to talk to a guy and you spend all this time platforming and fighting and platforming and fighting, and then he says he won't help you and basically you leave. So what was the point in 3 hours of gameplay? Just delete that chapter. I'm afraid it just annoyed me, and I finished it because I like Star Wars, not because I was enjoying it. But I'm gonna go for God of War Ragnarok for this one, because I never finished it because it crushed my soul, and it crushed my soul with just how slow it is. I'm afraid I got the feeling after probably after 10 hours of where is this going? We just advance the plot a bit quicker. It's so baggy. and so long. I'm afraid I gave up and thought I could. It's really sad, but I thought actually I can spend my time better doing other things. And yeah, I never finished it. So my nomination, which I know is probably not a bit unusual, because hey, people love those games, but yeah, God of War Ragnarok needed some good editing of the story and the gameplay. Okay, either of you played God of War
I could barely get
games at the
through the
moment?
first one, so I
Yeah,
get it. I don't really like them. Like I'm
I
just
haven't
like
had a PlayStation in a
whatever.
while, so I haven't been able
got
to.
it, got it. Yeah, yeah. I
Sorry, what was
played
the
the
other one?
first one. Was the previous one just called God of War? It
Aye,
was,
aye.
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was God of War 2016.
That's it. Because there is three ones from the PS2
Yeah, yeah,
era, PS3 era.
yeah.
I
Three or
don't know. I'm
four.
not
Yes,
not an
three from
expert
the
here.
PS2, two from the PSP. There was one from the Vita, and then
Okay.
the PS4 had this one actually, God of War 2016 and God of War Ragnarok, and then or wait, was Ragnarok PS5 exclusive or was it
I
on
think
four?
Ragnarok still runs on the PS4 actually. I
Okay.
think.
Well, yeah. So there's at least like 7 to 10 games total in the series.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I've only played the two most recent ones, and the first one I quite enjoyed actually. I'd never played a proper hack and slash game before, but I actually quite enjoyed it, although I played it on easy. But yeah, this one, nah. All right, that's our little bit of negativity from our list of awards. Let's move back to our regular stuff. So, best soundtrack of any game you've played this year. I'm gonna I'm gonna go first with this one and say honestly, I've played a lot of games this year. Some of them I couldn't tell you a single thing about the soundtracks. Most of them have one or two really memorable tracks, but there's not one that stands out. I mean, like Valhalla's soundtrack is incredible. I can't remember what I nominated last year. I think I nominated Plague Tale Requiem, which is just a fantastic soundtrack from beginning to end. I haven't had the same feeling this year. I'd probably say Cyberpunk because there are certain individual tracks that are fantastic, and the in-game radio is brilliant. They commissioned over 100 tracks from artists around the world to populate the in-game radio as you're driving around Night City. But even then, a lot of the tracks on the actual official soundtrack, I don't remember them. I don't remember them playing in the game. I couldn't tell you, what they sound like apart from a few individual ones. So for me, it's a bit of a strange year. This one, Mike, what's your nomination for this category?
Well, I've listened to a lot of soundtracks this year because I do it with my Assassin's Creed playthrough. So I've listened, I think, from Rogue, 3, King Washington, Liberation, um, and then the three soundtracks that Unity had. I think I listened to all of those, but out of the games I've played, it's going to easily be We Love Katamari Reroll, um, because the Katamari games are just they have such a great soundtrack, and every time we turn it on, it's another game that I would play with my wife on a weekly basis until we finished it. Um, and it came out, I think it came out this year. Um, but we would sit there just singing along with the opening of the song getting ready to play, or even when we're playing and stuff, just and just it's very energetic, it's very colorful, it's just super fun, and it's even weird in some places because the entire game is just a weird concept.
I'm looking at the Steam page right now. I've never heard of this game, and what I'm seeing in one of the little video clips is skyscrapers all bundled up,
Yeah,
rolling over the
so
landscape.
you
This is what
are
is this?
you play as the prince of all cosmos. Your father is the king of all cosmos, and he
Okay,
has a bad habit of breaking the universe when he gets bored. And
okay,
so he has you fix the universe by taking your Katamari, which is a little studded ball, um, which in I don't know if they ever had them in the UK, but in the States we used to have these little vibrating balls that you would get for babies that were like studded and stuff, and they can like chew on them and stuff, and it would help with like
okay. Yeah,
teething
yeah,
and stuff. But they would
yeah,
just
yeah.
like wobble everywhere. But they look like those. But you start in the early levels, just rolling up things like playing cards and packs of gum and stuff like that. And you
Mm,
get to the point later on where you're rolling up entire buildings or countries or even planets, just to make a new star to fix what your father broke.
I see.
And
I see.
it's a game that came out back in the, I want to say, the 90s on the original
Yeah,
PlayStation.
yeah.
And it's just been, they've made new games pretty frequently, but then in the last couple of years, they've been re-releasing the originals with new enhancements for the new systems and colors and soundtracks and stuff like that. And adding in little bits, like for this one, the Royal Reverie, which was a backstory for the King of all Cosmos when he was the Prince of all Cosmos. So when he was little, and so you get to play as him for some levels, and it's a very fun game, and it's available on all kinds of stuff. But if you want to play something, especially if you want to play something with somebody who's not a gamer, that's a great game to play.
Great shout. All right. All right. Very good. Thanks, Mike. And Chris, what's your soundtrack nomination?
I'm probably gonna have to give this one to Indiana Jones again because that soundtrack is just nostalgia. I feel like I'm a kid again. I feel like I'm back at home watching the movies. Yeah, it's weird. It's like I said, I'm not completed it yet, but I'm a good wee bit through
Mm,
it. And yeah, the music, the score is just brilliant so far, and they've really nailed the feel of Indiana Jones. Like if you've ever seen any of the movies,
mm.
you know there's a certain feel to it and kind of humor and all this type of stuff. So yeah, the music's just added to that completely, and it's pretty perfect for
Awesome. We had all three of the original trilogy recorded on VHS
it.
when I was a kid. So I would watch those films over and over, just put the cassette in and watch them. So I'm thinking it's coming out on PlayStation next year, I think.
I think so, yeah.
So I'm going to wait for it to come out on PlayStation. I think it's going to be a living room game for me where I play
Oh,
casually in the
definitely.
evening.
Yeah, big
Yeah,
screen,
yeah,
headphones on, or just
yeah,
through the speakers, whatever.
yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm going to save. I'm going to save it. I mean, I guess it fits in between. Does it come after Raiders in the
I
storyline or
can't
after Temple of
remember
Doom?
now. Yeah, I think so. It's either after or it's like, aye, it's in between the two movies, aye.
Yeah, yeah. So we know he survives.
Aye.
All right, thanks, mate. Okay, let's move on to our next category, which is the best demo you played this year. Mike, you don't play demos, so nothing to call out this time.
No, I've never been a fan. Oh, I mean, I used to play demos when I was younger, like demo discs and stuff when I couldn't afford to get games. But with
Mm,
me having Game Pass on my Xbox and also having a huge backlog of games, I don't have time for demos. And if I want a game like AC Shadows, if it had a demo, I would probably play that because I would like to play AC Shadows before it came out.
yeah.
But for all of these games where it's all like, oh, like play the demo, and unless it had some kind of incentive, like play the demo and you'll get like an extra skin or a new weapon to use in the main game and your save data carries over, um, maybe. But I also am not a fan of having the icon in my library because on Xbox, anything you download stays on your library permanently. And so I
Oh, so
have,
if you start with a demo and then buy the game, you still have the demo in your library.
yeah, uh,
Okay.
and uh,
Well, yeah.
and so I have some stuff like they back when the Matrix what was the new Matrix movie called? When the newest Matrix movie came out, they had a Unreal Engine 5 demo that you could
Oh,
try out where you can go around
yeah.
the city and stuff. And I downloaded that on my Xbox. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. It looks really nice and stuff. But then that icon is still there. It's still in my library. So I have to hide it because I don't want to look at it. I'm never going to play it again. So
Got
I'm
it.
pretty against demos just because if I like a game, I'm gonna buy it or I'm going to play it on a subscription service. And if I don't
Mm,
end up liking it afterwards, oh well, I don't usually buy games at full price anyways, so and I do my research enough to where like if I feel confident about a game, I will buy it. If I don't feel confident, I won't buy it.
fair enough. Yeah, all good. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, pretty much the exact same answer. Like, I don't really play demos either. I'm also a person that do not like that stuff on my account because it's just what I ignorantly call my OCD. It just drives me up the wall. So I
Understood.
actually have two Xbox accounts. I actually have one that's like my main account. That's where I play all my main stuff on. But then I've got an account where I try things on. So like
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
like
That's a
try
good
a
idea.
game on another account first, and then I'll play a bit of it. And if I like it, then I'll probably play it on my good account. And then
That's all
if
good.
I
All
don't,
right.
then who cares? I'm not playing it again.
It's the worst when
Um,
they put the demo in your achievement list and it has no
Yeah,
achievements.
that's
I
exactly what
hate
I'm
that.
talking about. It's
I
the
hate
achievement list
that.
bit that drives me up the wall, man. I hate it so much.
I've got a wall of
right. I can
hundreds
understand
and then a
that.
demo and then another,
Yeah,
it's so bad.
yeah. So yeah, I don't even really play demos, even though I do have an extra account. It's just a time thing. Do you know what I mean? Like I've not really got the time to
Okay.
be doing that. And like Michael, I do enough research where I kind of before I buy a game, I know I'm going to like it.
Mm,
There's
mm.
rarely a time these days where I buy a game and then I get a few hours into it and I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. So, like
And
Okay.
even what I was,
honestly,
yeah,
Game Pass is almost like demos because I'm not paying for the game. I get to play it. If I
yeah,
like it, I can not play it anymore. Or if I don't like it, I don't play it anymore. But if I like it, I finish it. And if I
yeah,
really like it, I'll buy it. So I guess that's my demos is anything on Game Pass.
yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. This could be quite a short round then. I played three demos this year. I played the Stellar Blade demo, Rise of the Ronin, and Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. Stellar Blade has the eye-catching visuals, and it took me a long time to adapt to its combat style, which needs a lot more precision than I'm used to. But I definitely got used to it, and it's one I'll look at in the future playing. I know, Chris, you enjoyed Rise of the Ronin. I think we spoke about it maybe last year.
Was that last year?
Um,
No, it only came out
was
this
it?
year, was it not?
I can't
I'm pretty
remember.
sure it came out in like
I think
February
it
or
was
something.
early this year, but you may
Yeah,
have been talking about it when they announced the
yeah.
videos
Maybe,
for it.
But
maybe.
yeah, I mean, I've not completed it, but yeah, pretty decent game.
I found it so hard it was not enjoyable.
Fair enough.
So, do you know what? In this case, the demo worked because I it's
Yeah.
not my sort of game, and that's fine. I lack the skill or the timing. But Banisher's Ghost of New Eden, which is published by Don't or developed by Don't Nod, I think that's got good vibes. I really enjoyed that demo. I've put it on my wish list. I am gonna play it whenever I get over my cyberpunk addiction. Really good game. I won't say any more than that, but yeah, Banisher's Ghost of New Eden definitely got my attention this year. All right. We've only got a couple of categories to go. We are flying through this. The next category is a nice, easy one. Most anticipated release of 2025. Mike.
It's obvious. It's Shadows.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Chris?
Well, it is obviously Shadows because Assassin's Creed is the best ever. But there's actually so many great games coming next year or planned for next year. Because, I mean,
Mm,
I know you guys probably not excited, but GTA 6 will come out next year.
No,
That'll be
well, it's
big.
going to be pushed again. Watch.
Yeah, probably. Wouldn't be surprised. I'm pretty sure Fable's meant to come out next year, but again, that might get moved. I'm really looking forward to that. And then there's something else coming out next year that's like really big.
There's one that I'm trying to remember. I'm looking up the
there's something
list
coming out in
now.
February or March around Shadow's release that's going to be huge.
Oh,
While we think about it, I'll just say, on the GTA topic, I've never played a GTA game.
that's totally
Is
understandable.
that bad?
No, that's not bad at all. I mean, I grew up with them, but I shouldn't have been playing them. I mean, I was like 12 playing these things. No, I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
I still did.
I am looking forward to South of Midnight. That looks really good.
Okay.
It's kind of a Louisiana uh almost like fairy
Oh,
tale.
that was at the Xbox
Yeah,
showcase,
yeah,
wasn't
Yeah, I
it?
yeah.
remember
That
seeing
one
the
got my
trailer.
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
looks really good. I was like, I like the she's got like that kind of teleporting ability. There's like giant
Mm, mm,
sentient creatures and stuff, like that big
that was
catfish
it.
and stuff. And I'm like, that looks really cool. I like the concept for that. And it looked like it had like really cool, like if there was a demo for that, I may take a look at it, but I'm fairly certain it's gonna come to Game Pass. So
yeah,
um
Um, there's another Xbox game coming out in February, which is Avowed. You boys
yeah.
interested
oh
in
yeah,
that?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
quite interested in that. And so
Yeah.
I meant to mention the next game from is it Split Fiction? It was
Oh
just
yeah,
shown at
I
the Game
saw.
Awards.
I haven't watched the
Okay.
trailer for it yet, but I already am aware of it because the one of the U.S. comedy groups, Game Grumps, they're all like, we're playing this easily, and
Yeah.
I played what is it? Not It Takes Two, but the other one.
Oh, the one with the prison.
Yeah, was it No Way
Yeah.
Out? Was
No,
that what
yeah,
it's
yeah,
called?
yeah.
Yeah,
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 I've played both of them, and their games are always so much fun, obviously, and you need to play it in with a partner as well. So
yeah.
Mm.
this one looks
Oh, that was the
unbelievable.
crazy guy on stage, was it?
Yeah,
That's
he's
the
a
one.
madman.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a
He was
complete
funny.
madman, but yeah, his games are always brilliant. And like I said, this one looked really fun because it's got a whole sci-fi bit and then it's got a whole fantasy bit as well.
Mm,
Looks really fun.
mm.
So I'm really looking forward to quite a few games next year. But Assassin's Creed Shadows is the game I've
Oh
been
yeah.
waiting for since the beginning.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And I have nothing original to add here. Assassin's Creed Shadows is what I'm looking forward to. Will Ghost of Yotei release next year, or have they
I believe
not
so.
given a date yet? Will it? Okay, so we can compare the
I don't
two
think
big
they've given a
Japanese.
date yet, but I'm
Okay,
fairly certain they're probably gonna aim for holiday season next year, maybe
that
late
makes sense.
summer. But
Yeah.
they could end up waiting to 2026. But I feel like on a competitive level, getting it out next year would be, especially if they get it away from Shadows.
Mm, mm.
They're gonna have a big kind of competition between the two.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so shadows all around, but a few other honourable mentions as well. That brings us to our last category, and it's the big one. It's the one that we give the statuette um, to the lucky developers for. Best game we played in 2024. Uh, Chris, do you want to go first, mate?
can you give me 1 second?
Sure, of course. Mike.
Yeah, so for me, I had talked a little bit about it before, but Harold Halibut was definitely out of the games that I actually played and finished this year. I would say that was, and it's a game that came out in 2024, so it was definitely my game of the year for 2024. It's an indie game. It was developed by a small team. The entire game is stop motion claymation. And again, like if you're a fan of Wallace and Gromit or Shaun the Sheep or any of those claymation back, even like Coraline and stuff, it's a great game to play because you get like full view of like the areas that you're exploring and stuff. And then they have close-up shots for the conversations. And it's an adventure, I guess you can call it an adventure puzzle game. It's more of a narrative story, but you play as Harold Halibut, and he's a very kind of monotone, but like very helpful guy who lives in a space station that's underwater. They had landed here like years ago, like hundreds of years ago or something like that. So he works for a professor who is trying to get the spaceship out of the water so they can go back home. And so the whole point of the game is that you're going through on a daily basis, talking to people, doing little side missions like cleaning graffiti or watching TV. And it's a very just kind of lived in area. And you get to learn about each of the individual characters, full voice cast, and when you get to with the end goal of getting the spaceship out, and then as you can see in the trailer, there is a an extraterrestrial, or I guess technically they're the natives of the planet that you're on, aspect to it. So it starts off very kind of like, comparing it to something like Fallout. You're in a shelter, you're you're stuck with the same things that you're doing all the time, and then there's this new thing that just shows up all of a sudden. It just throws everything for a loop. And it's a very fun game. It's got a great cast. The story is it's funny, it's touching, it's just um all kinds of a good game, and it's fairly short. I think it only took me like I played it over the course of a couple of days, but actually it was 17 hours long, so it's got a good amount of content. And it came out in April, and I finished it the week that it came out. So it's definitely one that I would highly recommend.
That actually sounds really, really good, and I don't know how I've not heard of it.
Yeah, it's
When did
on
it come
Game
out?
Pass. It
Oh,
came
is
out
it?
in August. Yeah.
All right, okay. Yeah, I'll
But yeah,
definitely have a look into that tonight.
yeah, it's
Uh,
still on Game Pass, so I would definitely recommend playing it because it's like if you want something relaxing, but still like very um it'll keep you captivated. And it was a game that like I took a lot of screenshots in that game. And unfortunately I don't have them anymore because it was on my old Twitter account and I don't have that anymore. But there was I mean, even just watching the trailer, you can just see like how much effort is put into the art style and everything. And I think I had even seen a behind the scenes video that may have been attached to it. Like in the game, you can watch a behind the scenes video, and it's just, or maybe I watched it on YouTube, but it's definitely a game that I would highly recommend.
Sounds good.
Nice one. Nice one. So that's Harold or Harold's Halibut? Harold Halibut.
Harold Halibut, yeah, first name, last name.
Awesome. All right. Very good. Chris, what's your nomination for best game you played this year?
I don't know if this is a bit surprising or not, but I'm going to say Star Wars. I really, really enjoyed that
Hey,
game, and I'm not a
nice.
Star Wars guy. Like, I've seen all the main movies, and I've seen a few of the shows, but I'm not like hardcore into Star Wars or anything. Like I enjoy it, but I'm not really a huge fan.
Mm,
But yeah, there was something about Outlaws that really just caught my attention from the get-go. I think I enjoyed it because it was more about the crime syndicates and all these things,
yeah.
and not so much about Jedi and all that
Waving
rubbish.
your lightsaber about. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of bores me a wee bit. But
Mm,
I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was good. I thought it should have got more recognition than it did. I don't really know what a lot of people's problem with it is. Um, I have played it since it got updated, and it's a lot better. Like I had noticed because it was when I first played it. I think it's pretty much one of the first sections you do after you've kind of escaped, and it's when you're on the first planet and you are tasked to sneak into the Pike's base
mm.
and grab something. And I noticed that when the first time I done that, I found it quite difficult to
That first
sneak
sneaking,
past
yeah,
all these guys right round this base on the outskirt of
took
it
me ages.
because there's so many of them. But
Hmm.
see, I'm on my second playthrough now since it's been updated,
Mm.
and like in that exact same section, there's a lot less bad guys there. And it actually took me 2 minutes to get through it, where I remember doing it the first time and like kept getting caught, so I'd like reset, keep getting caught or
Yes.
reset or getting a wee bit further.
Yes.
And then but this time I just literally just almost pretty much strolled right through it and like got it in like 2 minutes. So I was like, right, okay, they've definitely toned it down a little bit for the stealth stuff.
Mm.
And they've addressed a lot of the like small issues that I had with it, like things like when you get next to get one of the enemy's blasters or something, or you pick one up even. You used to be able to like if you went down a ladder, you would drop the gun, so you
So
can't really
frustrating.
take it with you or anything. But now she'll actually put it on her back, and you can actually take it with you quite far. You can go up and down ladders, you can go through vents with it and stuff. So I find that a lot more fun as well because you've got the ability to be able to kind of just, mash through enemies with a stormtrooper's blaster if you can get hold of it. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
good
really
shout.
like that.
Good shout. It's I haven't played it since I finished the main story. I haven't 100%ed it, but I enjoyed it. There were little niggly things like I'm playing on keyboard and mouse and trying to control the speeder was so hard, but
Mm.
they fixed it. The visuals sometimes looked amazing and sometimes didn't. They fixed that. So a lot of work has gone in post release to improve that game. So yeah, good shout. Star Wars Outlaws, and I guess we finish with my nomination for best game we've played, which will be no surprise. It is Cyberpunk 2077.
No, you don't
I was just,
say.
oh, I
We all
know.
knew it.
What a shock. I was just looking at something on Steam, and my first achievement unlocked. I'll read this out to you. The first achievement is called The Fool, and it's Become a Mercenary. And it unlocked 27th of September 2024 at 11:55 p.m. That was a Friday. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I've had Cyberpunk on my wish list for ages because it didn't really appeal to me, like this future thing with like mechanical arms and whatever. But it was a Friday. I'd had a few drinks and I was sitting at my PC thinking, I might spend some money. So it was a bit of a drunk purchase. And I started playing it and I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked immediately. And I said this, I think, in chatting with the guys here and others on Discord. It's the best game I've ever played. Combat, world, storytelling, world building, just the sheer variety of what you can do and how you can approach each mission. The fact there's three life paths which give you different routes through the city, different experiences. There are people. It's one of those games that you'll see people on the subreddit. I've got 2,000 hours in Cyberpunk. I don't know if I'll be playing for 2,000 hours, but I could totally understand someone just becoming fixated on this game and the variety and what you need to do. And then you throw in the expansion, which is Phantom Liberty, which is a whole different thing. It's got a fantastic total change in tone. The main game, it's very selfish. It's about you and what you can do to, well, spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. And then you've got this expansion, which is a spy thriller, and it's brilliant. And then the two together, I have to say, best £50 I've ever spent on a video game. So yes, yeah, so 4 years after release, because hey, I don't really seem to play games on release that often. Cyberpunk gets my nod, and that brings us to the end of our amazing Christmas award ceremony. Mike, any other comments? Any games just miss the cut that you want to call out as honorable mentions?
Um, I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of different indie games I played this year. Botany Manor was a good game. It takes place in the 1800s. You play as a female botanist, which wasn't something that was really appreciated back then or even allowed. And you are in the process of you've just returned back to your family manor and you're trying to pretty much like unlock all the secrets to it while also discovering and growing various plants and keeping them in your herbarium. And it's a great little story. It's a short game. Um, and it's a puzzle game. So if you're a fan of things like The Witness or even Myst, um, just not as hardcore, it's a great game that came out. I mean, I played a bunch of different titles on Game Pass this year that were simple, like sit down, play it, like 6 hour, 8 hour games. Little, what is it? Little Gator Game or Little Game Story as another one. It's like a Legend of Zelda clone, but you play as a little tiny alligator who's at the park with his big sister, and he's going on adventures with his cardboard sword and stuff while she's texting on her phone and or she's doing schoolwork because she's in college. And it's very much like a short hike. It gave me a lot of vibes to that. So I mean, there's a lot of like really tiny games that were great narrative titles, or just sit down, play once, and you can do everything. And um, but my focus, as it probably will be next year as well, is trying to just finish games that I had owned over
Yeah.
games from my subscriptions. So, but thankfully, I don't pay for my subscription. So if I play it, I play it.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Mike. Chris, any final honorable mentions that just missed the cut?
Yeah, I mean, nothing that was, I'd say, game of the year worthy, but again, like Mike, played tons of wee smaller games. Like I just finished a wee game called Unpacking, where you literally just take things out of boxes and put them on shelves, and
Unpacking is such a
Okay,
good game. It's
yeah,
it's
it's
got a
so fun.
good story too.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. And I mean, I just completed Tell Me Why last night.
Mm.
Only just finished the story last night, so I mean, I thought the story in that was actually really, really good. So that's my
mm,
first Life is Strange type game
Mhm.
that I've ever played. So
Nice,
yeah, I'm going to
nice.
jump into the rest of them and see how it
Yeah,
goes.
Tell Me Why is great. Good, good,
Yeah, it was
good
good.
call for sure. Um, the only one I would mention, which is again, it's kind of maybe quite obvious because it's a very popular game, but Resident Evil 4 remake, which
Mhm.
I played a long time ago, begin towards in the spring, I think. Um, that's a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun. Who doesn't want to kick a zombie in the head? you know,
Yeah.
and it's just ridiculous the huge bosses you end up fighting. But it was about 4 or 5 months later. There's a DLC called Separate Ways, which I didn't even notice. I don't even know if there was a prompt in the screen to say, "Hey, now you can play the expansion." But it was about 8 quid for another 10, 15 hours of story. So yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I will gradually, as they remake or release more of them, I will add the rest of the Resident Evil collection to my library. So yeah, all right. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining our Christmas award ceremony. Mike, thanks for joining us again after too long
Right.
away. I think that's the summary. So yeah, thank you for joining us. And yeah, Chris, thanks, mate, for all your nominations and chat. And we'll be back in the new year.